I mean, literally national publicity, just banging out not guilties after not guilties. And I'm watching these lawyers, I'm like, I'm just trying to work on my art and get people and fight these cases. And I think the way you build it is you get that big case, but you show the world who you are.
Lil Durk's lawyer just dropped some paperwork that got the feds scrambling like roaches when the lights come on, no cap. Drew Findling, y'all know that's the billion-dollar lawyer, right? Just filed some motion that basically told the government, show me what you got or shut the hell up. And gang, when I tell you this changed everything, I mean everything just shifted in Durk's favor. I ain't gonna cap and sugarcoat shit like that nerd that be trying to get Durk a life sentence. I'm really tell y'all what's going on. Before we get into this, smash that like button if you ready for some real exclusive shit, and subscribe because your boy about to break down why Lil Durk might actually be coming home sooner than y'all think. Let's get into it. Now, to understand how we got here, we need to go back to when this whole case started falling apart. See, the feds been trying to paint this picture that Durk orchestrated some murder for hire plot against Quando Rondo, right? They saying he put a bounty out, gave directions to his crew. But here's the thing, gang, and this is where it gets real interesting. They've been operating on some vague-ass allegations this whole time. Like they telling the court, yeah, Durk did it. But when his lawyer Drew Findling asked, okay, when, where, how much was the bounty? What exactly did he say? Crickets. Fam, dead, silent. The government been playing this game where they throw out all these dramatic details about the actual shooting, the stalking, all that street shit. But when it comes to proving Durk actually ordered it, they got nothing concrete. And that's exactly what Drew Findling just exposed in this new paperwork. Let me break this down for you piece by piece, because this is some chess-level legal maneuvering right here. First off, Drew Findling filed what's called a motion to dismiss for vagueness. Now that might sound boring, but this shit is deadly, no cap. Basically, he's telling the court, Your Honor, these charges are so vague and unclear that my client can't even properly defend himself. Think about it like this. Imagine somebody accused you of robbing a store, but they couldn't tell you which store, what day, what time, or how much money was taken. How the hell you supposed to prove you wasn't there if they can't even tell you where there is? That's exactly what's happening with Durk's case. The feds keep talking about this alleged bounty, but they can't tell the court when exactly Durk supposedly offered this bounty, where this conversation took place, what specific words he used, and how much money was involved, who was present when it happened. And here's where it gets crazy. They've been doing this for damn near 2 years now, but that's just the beginning, fam. The real bombshell came when Drew Findling exposed how the government's star witness, they calling him PW1 in the documents, has been changing his story more than a liar trying to get out of trouble. Listen to this shit. First, this witness said there was no bounty at all. Then he said he didn't agree to kill nobody for money. Then he said he was acting under duress. But now, all of a sudden, he's saying Durk's boy stayed behind in LA to collect and distribute bounty money. But here's the kicker. The government's own evidence proves this witness is lying. They had to remove that whole part about collecting bounty money from their second indictment because they realized their witness was caught in a lie. Drew Findling put it perfectly in the paperwork. When the government's witnesses are constantly changing their stories about crucial facts, Mr. Banks's defense must take aim at a moving target. That is fundamentally unfair. Now here's where people started connecting the dots, and this is some real detective level breakdown. The government been trying to use Durk's lyrics as evidence, right? But Drew Findling just destroyed that whole argument. He basically told the court, if y'all can't prove your case without using my client's rap lyrics, then you got bigger problems than this motion. And he's absolutely right. They got 20 terabytes of phone data, multiple cooperating witnesses, cross-country intelligence, but they still need to rely on song lyrics? That's weak as hell, gang. But here's what really got me. Drew Findling used this example about coded language that shows how unfair this whole process is. He said, imagine if they kept Durk in the dark about what coded language he supposedly used. Then at trial, a witness says, oh, when Durk said the eagle has landed, that means he's offering a bounty for murder. How the hell is Durk's team supposed to defend against that if they hearing it for the first time at trial? They can't research it, can't find witnesses to contradict it, can't prepare nothing that's trial by ambush, and that shit ain't legal. The street's been talking about this motion all week, and for good reason. Legal experts saying this is one of the strongest challenges they've seen in a federal case like this. See, what Drew Findling did was expose the government's whole strategy. They've been trying to overwhelm the jury with dramatic details about the actual shooting, the stalking, the photos, All that street shit, hoping nobody would notice they can't actually prove Durk ordered it. It's like showing a jury a bunch of footage of a bank robbery, then saying, and this guy over here planned it all, without any evidence connecting him to the planning. The robbery footage might be dramatic, but if you can't prove who planned it, you ain't got no case. And here's what's really crazy. The government had the nerve to argue that the specific words Durk allegedly used are not elements of the offense. But Drew Findling clapped back hard. A bounty offer is as essential to a murder-for-hire charge as a material misrepresentation is to a wire fraud charge. Now, let me keep it 100 with y'all about what this really means for Durk's case. This motion is forcing the government to show their cards. They can't keep operating on vague allegations and changing witness stories. Drew Findling basically told them, put up or shut up. If the government can't provide specific details about when, where, and how Durk allegedly offered this bounty, then this whole case might crumble. And based on what we're seeing in these documents, they've been struggling to provide those details for 2 years now. The fact that their star witness keeps changing his story is a huge problem. Juries don't like witnesses who can't keep their story straight, especially when that witness is facing life in prison and has every reason to lie to save himself. And here's something else that's working in Durk's favor. The government already had to remove parts of their indictment because their evidence didn't support it. That shows they've been overreaching from the jump. But let me break down why this motion is so powerful from a legal standpoint. First, it's attacking the foundation of the entire case. Without being able to prove the bounty allegation, the government can't prove murder for hire. And without murder for hire, most of their other charges fall apart too. Second, it's exposing the government's reliance on unreliable witnesses. When your star witness has told 4 different versions of the same story, that's a credibility problem that's hard to overcome. Third, it's showing that the government been playing fast and loose with the facts. They've been changing their theory of the case as they go along, which ain't how the justice system's supposed to work. The grand jury indicted Durk based on one set of facts, but now the government trying to prosecute him on different facts. That's not legal, and Drew Findling called them out on it. The street's perspective. Now, from a street perspective, this makes perfect sense. Think about how these federal cases usually work. They flip somebody close to you, that person tells them everything, and they build a case from there. But what happens when that person keeps changing their story? What happens when the evidence don't match what they're saying? What happens when they can't even tell you the basic facts of what supposedly happened? That's exactly what's happening here. The feds thought they had a slam dunk case, but when you really examine the evidence, it's full of holes. And here's something else. Durk wasn't even in Georgia when King Von got killed. He wasn't in LA when the shooting happened. So the only way they can connect him to these crimes is through these alleged directions he gave to other people. But if they can't prove what directions he gave, when he gave them, or how he gave them, then they can't prove he's connected to the crimes at all. What Drew Findling did with this motion is some next level legal strategy. He's not just defending Durk, he's going on the offensive. By demanding specific details about the bounty and the alleged directions, he's forcing the government to either produce evidence they might not have or admit they've been operating on speculation this whole time. And here's the beautiful part. Even if the court doesn't dismiss the case outright, they might order the government to provide a bill of particulars, basically a detailed breakdown of exactly what they're alleging. If the government can't provide those details, or if what they provide contradicts what they told the grand jury, then Durk's team can use that to destroy their case at trial. But let's zoom out for a minute and talk about what this means for hip-hop culture. We've been seeing the feds go after rappers using their lyrics as evidence for years now. From Bobby Shmurda to YNW Melly to now Durk. They keep trying to use artistic expression as proof of criminal activity. But what Drew Findling did in this motion might change that. He basically told the court, if you need rap lyrics to prove your case, you don't have a case. That could set a precedent that protects other artists from having their creative work used against them in court. Here's another thing that's working in Durk's favor. The timeline don't make sense. The government trying to use a song that came out 7 months before the shooting as evidence of the bounty. But how you gonna use something from 7 months earlier to prove intent for a specific crime? That's like saying because somebody wrote a song about robbing banks in January, they must have robbed the bank that got hit in August. That don't make no logical sense. And let's talk about this witness situation, because this is where the government's case really falls apart. They got a witness who first said there was no bounty, then said he was forced to do it, then said somebody else collected the money. but the government's own evidence proves that last part is a lie. So now they got a witness with zero credibility trying to testify about the most important part of their case. Good luck with that in front of a jury. What's really telling is what the government don't have. They don't have recordings of Durk ordering the hit, text messages about the bounty, financial records showing payment, and witnesses who heard the specific directions, any physical evidence connecting Durk to the planning. All they got is a bunch of circumstantial evidence and a witness who can't keep his story straight. That's not enough for a federal murder-for-hire conviction. Drew Findling's strategy is brilliant because he's not just defending, he's attacking the prosecution's credibility. By exposing all these problems with their case, he's making it harder for them to convince a jury. Even if some evidence comes out that looks bad for Durk, the jury gonna remember that the government couldn't even provide basic details about their main allegations. That creates reasonable doubt. So here's the real tea, fam. This motion might have just saved Lil Durk's life. The government been operating on assumptions and unreliable witnesses this whole time. They thought they could overwhelm a jury with dramatic details and hope nobody noticed the gaps in their actual evidence. But Drew Findling just exposed all those gaps. He forced them to either put up or shut up. And based on what we're seeing, they might not be able to put up. Now, I ain't saying Durk definitely beating this case. The feds still got resources and they might come back with something stronger. But what I am saying is, his chances just got a whole lot better. This motion shows that when you got the right lawyer who knows how to fight the system, you can expose the government's weaknesses. Drew Findling just reminded everybody that the burden of proof is on the prosecution, not the defense. And if they can't meet that burden, if they can't prove when, where, and how Durk allegedly offered this bounty, then this whole case might crumble. The street's been saying, "Free Durk," since he got locked up. After reading this motion, that might actually happen sooner than we thought. What y'all think about this? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know if you think Durk really got a chance to beat this case. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because your boy gonna keep breaking down all the updates as they come. Until next time, keep it 100 and remember, real, recognize real. Peace.